Live here reporting again from StarEast conference. Here, your amigo Leandro, also known as Señor Performo, your developer advocate with K6. We have here a very special friend that this is something that has been happening all day, this week actually. I finally met in person this amigo, Sergio Freire,
Yeah.
and we met during the pandemic. There was so much happening. There was so many things. I found out what he was doing, but I don't want to spoil it. Amigo Sergio, um, tell us a little bit about you. Welcome, first of all, and happy to.
Thank you,
Thanks.
Leander, for having me here. It's really a pleasure to meet you live, and I hope we have a great time here at StarEast.
Yeah, it's been an awesome time already, and as you say, finally see you in person, and it's so many friendships. I don't know if that happened to you.
Yeah. During the pandemics, was really a time that we engage with so many different people using all sorts of channels, not just webinars, live chats, video calls. Um, it also point in time where I tend more on Slack, also to interact with people, sometimes to help out, sometimes for people also to provide some feedback to me, as you actually did once some time ago. So yes, it changed a bit the way that we interact, but also it was an opportunity for people to interact with people that otherwise would be a bit harder, because sometimes people find like some blockers in terms of interaction. And with the pandemics, I think that we were able to remove most of these blockers. And I think that's those silos, the silos that sometimes we see in the teams. And I think you are in the morning, you are talking about also silos. So yeah, sometimes we have these silos between people, not just between teams. So we need to break those silos in,
And
in order to improve, because I think one of the biggest wins of all this time of pandemics was the fact that we took time to learn. And for me, continuous learning is like continuous integration, continuous testing. And I think we need to always keep improving, because we need to tackle so many things, the unknowns that we have, not just in our products, but in the way that we ship, that we make the products.
yeah, and it's something interesting that you mentioned that uh, kind of because we were locked up, were available,
Yeah.
we were able to assist. Not that that was the reason why we got together and I agreed to help you, but definitely it helped with a lot of people that would have been unavailable otherwise, and gave this opportunity to establish the connections, help each other, and do I hope a good feedback, a good things that I managed to help with. But for the ones that do not know you, where do you work? What are you doing? Because that's also very important,
Yeah.
relevant to what we want to talk
Okay.
about.
So I'm based in Portugal.
Hmm.
Actually, I was born in the States. My parents worked here for some time, but then I was shipped back to Portugal together with my parents, of course. And I work. I started as my background is on telco area. I started as a software developer, then a team lead, working with real-time systems. So I have a deep background on protocols, networking, software development also. Then I moved more to a process and consultancy kind of role internal to the company that I was at, trying to adopt continuous integration, or at least working towards it. Because sometimes people say we have continuous integration, but in fact they just have like a Jenkins job to run a build there. I found out that sometimes many people, that initial step of automating the build process, that we think, okay, well, all teams have that. Actually, unfortunately it's not true. So I did some work with some teams in trying to improve their processes. And then back then, in that telco, we were using one product from Have you heard about HP Quality Center? Yeah, yeah. So many of us
I'm
have heard.
speechless.
So we were trying to figure out like a different approach for our whole organization. We were around 1,000 people. We have Jira. We are making the shift to Jira. Jira was mostly at the start, and then I start like doing this specification for the thing that we needed to have, and that's how a bit how X-Ray actually born. And actually, then afterwards, sometime afterwards, the X-Ray team hired me to be their product owner, product manager, and which was really awesome because I was, first of all, I was the customer, and then doing the specifications, a bit kind of a old style approach, doing the specifications, and then I moved to a more product owner role. And nowadays, I left that and I work with the community, as I think you also do.
Hmm.
And I try to explore new tools, trying to unveil many things around testing, how we can improve our understanding about the products. So I'm also interested on exploratory testing on that. So I like the theoretical part of it, but I also like the tooling part of it. So I have written more than like 50 tutorials around with different testing tools and frameworks. So I've tried many different things out there because I think that's really important for us to keep learning and trying to improve our understanding. And well, we know that every single day a new testing framework appears. It's hard to be on track to follow everything that is happening. But we need to always keep learning. And so nowadays, I also do, if I have time, which is always the hardest thing to have. So I was discussing that with Aaron a bit from.
Aaron, Chris Banner?
Yeah,
Hmm.
I was discussing that because time is like our most precious resource nowadays. At least whenever we have some, whenever we get older, time is the thing that we need to value most. And I was talking about this because
No, and I want to catch up on some of the things you
Mhm.
mentioned, because it's nice that you are generating some of the content, how we got in touch and how we met each other earlier. And I remember I wasn't that aware or X-Ray. I was at a point that I wasn't using that much Jira, gladly or sadly, depending on who you
Yeah,
ask. And when we were talking, I got to another project kind of like a month or two ago. X-Ray. Okay, I gotta
I,
start using it. I had some experience with Jira, but I was this X-Ray component, and I started to look for material to learn it, to understand it. And I, Sergio,
I
why
know.
does that ring a bell? Where have I heard? Oh, and I started to connect things, and I started to see all the material, everything that you have been producing and helping as an advocate or helping people. Yeah, as you say, pretty much what I'm trying to do. Probably not as prolific written wise as you have been, because honestly, all the material that you started to produce, and when I started to use X-Ray and do my test cases and drag image and this and that's the approval step and all, I was like, it looks pretty good, and it's I know the guy that is behind that, and it's like, oh wow, I know people. But it's definitely a great effort to try to help and adapt to the new trends, the new
Yeah,
techniques and methodologies, right?
yeah. One thing that I understand, or that with time, which I understood, is that every single team is different.
Hmm.
Every single team is unique because we as individuals are also unique. But in the end, our needs are more or less common. We want to achieve success. We want to have products that don't give us headaches. And so tools should not really be enforced as like strict ways of working that cannot allow us to unleash our true potential. So,
Hmm.
for example, I've I came with I met organizations that they want to have like more strict, rigorous processes over their testing process. Wait, we can say, oh, that's not really true agile, but I understand their needs. They have their own needs. I understand that. Probably I could do something different, But one thing that we did with this X-ray is try to have a tool that is flexible enough so people can adopt a more light process or a more complex process, or
Hmm.
with more guarantees, let's say, if you want, on top of it.
And that's really cool, and something, the customization, all
Yeah,
the availability. Because I remember with some other products, if you want to change out a field or add
yeah,
another metric or something that you want to have, can get kind of tricky. And as you say, every team is different, every project we're doing different things, and being tied up and other tools that I kind of want to do this, but the tool only allows you that thing, or
yeah,
this is the flow of the tool, or you have to be. Um, Yesterday, talking with Jenny, you have to be like a cult, a sect of the agile process, and it's exactly like this. But I do it a little bit different. I need this, and your tool is not, and that's great, right? You
yeah,
you
yeah.
you support
We
those type of.
we need to be able to adapt to the people needs, to the team needs. Otherwise, we are fighting against them.
Hmm.
And we have so our product has, like, I would say, it has great success. It's currently like the number one or number two in the overall Atlassian market. So it's quite successful in the and I think that, for example, let me give you a concrete example, because sometimes we found whenever we meet
There are so
customers,
many examples. Yeah, it's
people come us with things that we never thought of. So yeah, people like, whenever they enjoy a product, they
we
do.
are testers, and we
Yeah,
are supposed to think of all these scenarios, all of the situations, and you clicked what and where? What?
yeah,
How did they? Okay, yeah, we should have.
yeah. We have, for example, we have. I remember customers digital sign up of test cases or test specifications, and that for me was, do I really need to have that? Uh,
Hmm.
and for some industries, like in the medical and or in the health sector, that can be relevant, because you want to have like an assurance that this specification is exactly like that. There's an interesting question after that, but that can lead us to a more tougher discussion,
Deep discussion.
is whether that specification is really covering all the risks that are relevant for, let's say, the medical device,
Hmm.
because it's a specification and that specification is always limited. But I understand that people want to have like a snapshot or science snapshot, and that customer came with a solution that digitally signed like the whole notebook of tests, for example.
No, and those sign offs and follow ups. I
Yeah,
remember.
and
Uh,
with approvals and things like that.
and some tests you don't need them. You're just like, yeah, someone just completed, raised the defense, and that's cool. No, but there are medical, banking, like we need
Yeah,
three signatures, stamp, and two photo IDs, or and the scales of a dragon to be able to complete the process. You got to adapt to each
yeah,
one's process, right?
and one day I actually, we were talking about the pandemics earlier, and I met a person that was actually complaining about something in X-ray on Twitter, and I engaged with that person, and I understood what was happening. I helped him, and in the end, he wanted to show me like the hacks that he did on top of X-ray. He was actually really proud of it. And it was fun because we started from a point where were not, let's say, on the same page, but then we were fine because we were helping one another.
It's complementary,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
And
And this person actually did like a bunch of JavaScript code that injected in the browser and extended the product in a way. So, for example, in our product, we have like, a set of folders where you can see like the cards, the tests of cards. You can organize the tests there. And he was missing information. He was missing actions on top of the tests and things like that. So he added new buttons on the fly that would do post requests on top of the REST API. He customized the card layout, all
oh,
with in the browser with JavaScript code.
and that's
That's like real true hacking.
no,
but
and
but
but
but was useful
it's
to him. Yeah,
and it was useful to him. Probably it gave you some ideas on how to
yeah,
improve, how to extend. But the best part is that the product about it.
yeah,
I think that's something that I enjoy a lot about QA and tools in general. When whatever is produced by them is not locked by them, and like thou shall not use elsewhere. No, okay, here's our results, here's the data, you can call my API, you can do
Yeah.
this, you can do that.
APIs are wonderful in that sense because, well, they open a whole new world. Because, for example, whenever we are in the DevOps world, many people will do things from the command line, want to be able to do a bunch of stuff right from away from the command line, from wherever CI/CD tool. And if you have like a truly open API, you can do easily implement something on top of it that would make the process more, let's say, seamless. So, for example, I may have tried like 10 to 20 different CI/CD tools,
Oh,
and in the end, if you have an open API, you can easily integrate from
it's
the
almost like
pipeline.
it doesn't matter which one you choose because you can interconnect
Yeah.
and then add the plugins and they use their own APIs and it can get messy, a big ball of tanglement around. But I love that flexibility, that ease of communicating and changing. And oh, I won't connect to this platform anymore. Now I can just unplug the API, plug the other one, and you keep flowing and you keep doing. And this is great, I think, for the people, for the teams, for the product, where if you don't allow that flexibility, that freedom, that you are tying them, you are limiting them into whatever you think it's the flow of the process should be. But instead they need that freedom, that flexibility, that. And I mean, looping back a little to the pandemic, during those days that we were locked up, did you notice, because the pandemic changed a lot the way that we work,
Mhm.
did that impact, did that bring some things to X-ray, or the ways that
Mm.
you are
The- I'm not sure if you are aware, but during the pandemics, the open source contributions, they
exploded?
exploded on GitHub.
Hmm.
People were really engaged into making open source contributions. Even ourselves, and I am doing contributions to projects such as Playwright. So it's also a way trying to help the community. So if we win with the tester community, we should also try to help them out by giving them trying to make their work more easy whenever I need to do something. So I'm trying also to do that nowadays. And coming back to exactly to the question that you mentioned, I think that we got probably more interactions from
Hmm.
people through different channels, through all channels like Slack, from Twitter. Um that's my impression. I don't have numbers on it, but I usually get people interacting with me through all these different channels, and also on GitHub on the open source projects that I make there. So I remember, and it's interesting that sometimes we make small things. I have this small project that merges like cucumber reports. It's a very simple project, nothing really fancy about it. But I was seeing the number of downloads, and
Exploded as well,
it's
yeah.
huge, and it's helping people. So, and it's good that we have this some time during, well, whenever we are working remotely. And I should say that we should respect our own times for the family, but we also gain some focus, and that focus is great whenever we can also apply it to help others out there.
It's and it's a kind of side effect that I didn't think of it, that with the pandemic, the lockdowns and all the situation that we just recently lived through, everyone would have a little bit more time or be more participative out there. um, and those contributions, whatever people is needing, what they are feeling creative for, or what they are saying like, would be good if I can write a an API, an add-on, or a plugin, or what you call it, that will help improve. Or I have a personal need and I'm just gonna go and create it. And I didn't think about those good repercussions because, as you say, we were locked up and I don't have much else to do. I mean, it's good to share more time with my family, with children or relatives, or but we couldn't too many relatives, so that was another one. But it got to a point where like, okay, family, I need a break, and
Hmm.
I'm gonna go and create these extra code changes or components and checking them. It was something new for me as well. GitHub is a new tool that I'm starting to get into and learn. Like, oh, it's like a social network for code, and we can share and post and propose, and it's when you said the tiny changes at K6, we also have the repositories. We also have it's a community. You can generate all the extensions for it, and even a little change. Probably will be watching, or if it's not watching, Mark Tomlinson, a friend from Pervites. Hey, I just created a new function and an extension to do a new random function. Would be good to have on K6. Submitted, integrated it, and it's something that when the people feel that freedom for their
Yeah,
creativity, you get a lot of great and probably unexpected benefits, right?
yeah. I the unknowns is like one thing that I really like as a topic, as a broad topic, and we never know everything. Even if we
Mm.
spared all the time in the world, we would never knew everything. So that's why it's important to get feedback from others and contributions from others. It's not just feedback; it's actual valuable contributions, because whenever we tackle, let's say, a problem, or we're thinking about the future, we are thinking based on our own biases, based on our own previous experience, which will always be limited up to a point. Of course, if you have more experience, we probably have, let's say, a broader view, but sometimes it can also be a more biased view.
Mm?
It looks like, I'm not sure if it happened to you sometimes, but sometimes we are working in a problem. We can be like experts on that, but we are so focused on that we cannot see like the simple things,
Mm.
and someone from the outside can easily
I think that has a name. I can't remember.
yeah, yeah,
But when you are so close to the problem that it's all that you can see, but there's so much around
yeah, yeah.
that you lack the perspective, or
There's
you're
a
too close
funny
to it.
video. I'm trying to remember it, that usually goes appears on the testing talks. Some some people like dancing. You have to count the people dancing,
Oh,
and
the
then
the
there's a
hidden gorilla.
yeah, the gorilla passing, and nobody actually
Yeah, because
sees
you're
it.
paying so much attention. They are
Yeah,
passing the ball, and you're paying so much attention that you do not see the gorilla, and that yeah, that definitely happens.
and Leandro, that also happens with performance, as
Oh,
your
no, no,
the
no.
topic that you love. So sometimes we are focused on, let's say, on the features, and we forget, like, say, performance or security, and they are crucial,
Mhm.
because otherwise we'll be solving that, on the end. It will be always a mess to solve problems. Well, you know this much better than me.
Yeah, there are some. It's funny that you bring it up because in the area of performance, we also have that problem that it's narrowing down or has been narrowed, or people focusing too much load testing, load testing, load testing. What happens with the single product or continuous performance, continuous monitoring, or some of those things where
The micro load tests that you
the
mentioned,
the
but
the yeah, because you have to do load testing, yes, but the friend Brian Wilson helped me to coin the term BALT, big ass load test, which everyone is focusing on that. Like, yeah, the capacity, how many users? Like, whoa, 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 whoa. You don't know even if you respond well to one user. Why are you wanting to push it that far?
yeah,
Or that's another one where I love the way that you say it, that you don't see the other gorillas walking around, that there are many gorillas all over the place, where what happens where there's no one in the system? What's your performance? What? Yeah, like you turn on a car, how much gasoline is it consuming just by being turned on? And that's a very important metric that at times we don't pay attention to. All those variables moving around, right? It's important to have them in mind.
I think I have a draft of a blog post. I never actually finish it. I have to to check it. Yeah, that's a problem. We are doing much of stuff at the same time, and
We're bouncing all over the place.
yeah. But I remember that was trying to draw like these mountains, like challenges. So every team faces like different mountains.
Hmm.
Let's say mountain A, mountain B, with different forms, and this team has this, let's say, these mountains as you have on K6, but the other team will probably have similar mountains with different sizes, but it's the same challenge, but it will appear at a
No,
different time.
maybe maybe the same mountain here. You see two peaks, but the other
Yeah,
team is looking it from here, and they see
yeah,
only one peak.
and at a different time, and maybe for that team, that mountain can have more importance, more impact than for another team. But the mountains are still there.
Mm.
It means that these challenges that we are talking about, performance, security, for example, I see many teams for neglecting security.
Mm.
Also, but the problem is there, and the harder the later you tackle it, the harder it will be to actually manage it. But all teams face the same kind of challenges. The time frame may be different, and the impacts may also be different, but the challenges are more or less the same. So this is the kind of model where I have these mountains and people looking at the mountains at different time frames. And I think it's a way of visualizing that, um, even though we work with different applications, with different systems, the needs that we need to address, they are somehow the same
Hmm.
overall. So you mentioned, like, for example, in performance, if you know that you have, let's say, this algorithm that is a crucial part of it, why don't you do single performance testing on the algorithm, and try to optimize it, measure it from the start, and not try to measure the whole system later on? Try to measure it from the start and see how that evolves. And one of the things that I love actually with things such as GitHub, for example, since we're talking about GitHub, actually my blog is hosted on GitHub, and it has some code behind. And when I make a blog post, it's a pull request. On the pull request, I make a branch. There's a pull request. It does uses Lighthouse to measure the performance on it. There are also some, let's say, functional tests being done on top of it. I see that it's all okay. I
Hmm.
merge it and it gets published. So this kind of flows where you actually measure things on kind of near real time is essential for people to, well, even let's say a single person within the team should be able to see, okay, we have this important area of the system that usually takes like 200 milliseconds, and now it's taking like 400 milliseconds. What's
Might
wrong?
still look tiny, but
But
it's
it can be used in
100% deviation.
yeah,
Not deviation. Well, it changed that 100%,
yeah.
right?
So having one of the talks that I'll be delivering a talk about inconspicuousness, with this strange word,
You'll be attending or giving a talk?
giving a talk.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Tell us about it. Yeah, yeah. What's
It's
gonna be your
on
talk about?
Thursday at 1:30 p.m.
Uh-huh.
It has this strange name. Me and my colleague Christian will deliver talk, Flight and Conspicuousness. So it was credits mainly to him because it was mainly his idea. And it's about these blind spots that we have in the products that we need to tackle, because uh, if we are taking them alone, probably you are not seeing like the whole picture.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I would invite you all to attend it, because I think it can cover aspects such as visibility and collaboration that I think are important to unleash
If
the power of the teams.
if anyone watching wants to attend, very much, it sounds like it's a very important topic for us to understand, and um, that's an interesting point. I like it from I like investors and stock market, blah blah, and the Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger, these guys, they have this saying that it's very important to know that you don't know things, and what are the things that you don't know, to identify them. And it sounds a little bit like paradoxic that how am I gonna know what I don't know? I mean,
Yeah,
I wasn't even aware, but it's very important. And you need
there.
people, you need to have more vision, or as you say, different experiences, different person.
I want to also thank Irina Supron, an exploratory tester. I will meet her in person, I hope. Uh, she provided me, she doesn't know, but she provided me some lights on how we can tackle the unknowns, let's say the unknowns that you are talking. So, of course, we know things, but even the things that we know, they can be, it's our vision over the reality.
Mm-hmm.
But how do we discover new things? How discover things that we don't know? So in testing, there are some tactics that we can use for that. For example, try to make error-prone environments, environments that could be more prone to errors. Try to use them, for example, because if you use, let's say,
No, something that is perfectly stable. You
yeah,
won't find.
yeah,
This drives a little bit on the line of chaos engineering. Like, do you want to pull triggers or stuff on something that is super stable, super good? You may find good things, but you need a purpose. I want to find where is it weak, where is it failing, and an environment that has many loose wires will give you the most fun, the most
yeah,
information. Another one is it useful information, is it translatable to my production environment, or it's very relative, right?
yeah, yeah. And another idea is that whenever you have, let's say, this user flow that can take you somewhere, whenever you're doing that user flow, why at a given step you try something different, something that you usually wouldn't do. So it's what we are talking here is about trying to walk in the norms, giving a step to the left, to the right, going away from the path that we normally would do. And whenever we do that, we may be lucky. And another word that I learned with another great tester, Maret, is serendipity, lucky findings.
Yeah.
So actually, the story of X-ray, not X-ray, but X-rays.
Oh,
The
the
story,
original.
yeah,
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 yeah.
it was
Actually, yeah,
curious.
that was
You know that it was a lucky finding because the scientist that won this Nobel Prize was doing some experiments.
and just place the hand or something like
Yeah,
that, if I
and
remember.
he noticed like this shadow on the background was, so there was some rays getting out of the experiment. What was the X-rays? And it happened because he was doing these small experiments on top of an existing experiment, and he was like had his eyes wide open. He saw something on behind him. So whenever we are looking for something, sometimes we find other things that we don't expect, and that's because we insist, but we insist not just doing the same things. We try slightly different things while we are doing.
And you were saying as well something very interesting, that a key there, because there are always things happening, and our human brains help us to narrow down things so that we can focus. But keep the eyes open and your view
Yeah,
wide to pay attention to that, because and it's something that has come up in these conversations that we are having here at StarEast, that if you are not trying to, or you're curious, that's also like your curiosity. Because sometimes in the past, right, when you open a door in your house and the other one opens, oh, ghosts, we have spirits here, okay, no other explanation, that quick, closed. But then, like, I wonder why that happened. I noticed a relationship, cause and effect, and trying to figure out things. Oh, air pressure. Oh, the air has pressure, and you, it's kind of a rabbit hole, and you keep going, and you find more things, you learn more things, and the knowledge is always welcome and helps you, feeds you, and it's something that we shouldn't stop um, flowing or growing. I got a question recently from a friend that is not in IT, and I told, like, yeah, all my life I will have to keep learning stuff and getting at the edge of things, and because it's evolving, it's changing so much. And the question was like, aren't you scared? Isn't that too much? Like, no, it's fun. We
It's
enjoy it,
fun.
right?
Yeah. There's there is a set of for people that like to learn new things and discover what scientists are doing nowadays to learn new things. Really, um, our biggest, let's say, doubts of that we have now, scientists have right now. There's a good series that I can share with you, and so you can share then
Sure, sure,
afterward.
sure.
It
I
was
may even be
yeah,
able
yeah.
to type it here
It
to
was
make it on
Dan
screen.
Ashby that shared it with me. Something about the unknowns. So our scientists are tackling the unknown nowadays on tough challenges. One of the ways of the finding things, let's say about life or other things,
Discoveries.
discoveries. For example, is about looking at patterns
Hmm.
because you maybe you found if you are looking at something and you see a pattern arising, why is that pattern there? Then you can try to discover it.
Yeah, like I was saying, like, hey, I opened here, and then it always happens here, and then there's a link, there's something connecting, and I think it's something that for all the people watching and everyone in testing and QA, we need to keep that attention, that curiosity, right?
Yeah, yeah, and that's essential. A tester, or let's say a, a person that wants to evolve needs to continuous learn. For me, continuous learning, or let's say MOV or ensemble learning,
Hmm.
learning together is really one of the things of the 21st century that we need to tackle.
And the best part, I think it started to become easier.
Yeah,
I mean, I love the YouTube University. Probably people are watching us on YouTube. You can share the knowledge. You can instruct people, write a blog post, write a tutorial, documentation, and start sharing it with the world. There are so many things. I still get amazed. Like people will ask me, "Hey, how did you learn that thing?" And I watched a YouTube video, and it really. The other day, I got locked up out of my house, and I looked for a video like, "How can I get back in?" And then there was a guy like, yeah, you can put like a turn up the bolt and then you'll be able to open. Like, it's scary how easy it was, but I could learn it right away in my car. No, not mine, but a car that we had to move. The battery died. How do I move it away from parking without the battery? How can we push it? So many things that you can learn right
yeah,
away.
even technologies that sometimes appears to be complex, like Kubernetes and things like that. Lately, there are many resources out there, free
Hmm.
resources, and that we can use to boost our knowledge. So
It's something that and also being respectful of your time and to not extend too much.
it's okay. It's okay.
If you're happy, we can keep talking. But some of the recommendations, there's so much knowledge out there, and it's easier for everyone. Often we get the question, what would be the best recommendation to learn about this, to improve performance, improve that? And it's like, go find a mentor, go YouTube, go and the paid options as well have very good material. The Udemy's and Platzi in Latin America, and I'm sure in Portugal they're on with specific content in Portuguese. I feel there's almost no excuse
No,
nowadays.
I think whenever sometimes on the past I interviewed some people for some roles, and I was surprised whenever people came and told, okay, I don't know Selenium well, uh, Cypress well. I've used Selenium, not Cypress well. You never tried it out. You never had curiosity to try it out. Uh, for me, curiosity is just is one skill that is really important.
Mm.
And then you need to put your hands on to actually learn with the expertise. And
Because one thing is reading the book about how to ride a bicycle,
yeah,
but
yeah,
until you ride the thing, you start to say, "Oh, this is how it happens."
yeah. Let's do performance testing. I've read many things about it, but have you actually done something about it? And well, maybe you face some challenges that in your context, maybe you dealt with those challenges in one specific way. It could be not the perfect way, but you learn something from it. And for me, someone that comes with shown just shows us that he or she did something and learned from it, and is eager to improve the knowledge, is for me like one of the main skills that I value, is that people are eager to learn.
Yeah, because that's one where maybe normal for us in IT or our careers or what we studied, but to many, as I said, this friend, it was a little bit at standing or scary that you gotta keep learning. But there are some others, and I agree with you. It's a very good characteristic of the people that, why do you keep learning this stuff? Or I have friends that like they are like walking encyclopedias, that they know so much. Like it's a cool data bit that I found interesting, and it got stored, and I think I read this on a video game. Now that I remember, there is no knowledge, there is no power, and knowledge is always like good to have it flowing.
Yeah,
These people, other one that Charlie Munger, another investor, that said, "I never met a rich person that didn't read a lot, that didn't investigate, or was curious, or was always running around and trying to find more things." That hunger for knowledge is
yeah, yeah,
very important, right?
yeah, yeah. I totally agree. I would say that whenever we are going to address some topic, even well, with the topics that we have nowadays going on, with things going on, there are many things we can do before we say actually something about that specific topic. We can try to learn a bit about those communities wherever we are talking about, try to understand their history, try to understand the context. The same happens in software. We need to understand the context. If we just look at the product itself as it is, the story that it tells, it's like a snapshot. We need to understand, let's say, the goal. Because I remember that whenever I was dealing with customers as a team lead, sometimes customers would come as, "Hey, we want this button here to do because we need to do something." But why do you need a button? Maybe something in the end, there were some things that actually they didn't need the button. The button was useless because the whole process could be done in a different way.
Drag and drop,
Yeah.
just to give a silly example.
Sometimes software people in software implement software that is useless
No, and some.
because it's fun to write some code. People can get excited. Let's see, we have this feature and that feature and that feature. So what? You can solve the problem in a more seamless way by not doing anything.
And that's a bias that I've seen a lot on QA automation. It's something that a lot of us learned and enjoyed. And I don't know if you have found teams that, let's automate this, let's automate that.
Oh yeah.
Why? Analyze and check the benefits and the outcomes that you will improve. What is improvement? What is the benefit? What are you going to get out of automating that?
Sometimes people they get excited with a certain topic, like
It's just because I like to automate. I want to do
yeah,
it
yeah.
more.
I like to automate. I like a lot of test automation. But are you addressing the real problem? Have you get have you got together and try to figure out what is the real problem? So one of the things that I'll be talking in the talk was is going to be around this exercise that I learned with Rob Mini. That is about the test step quadrants, where we get the people together and try to figure out, say, the things that are inhibiting us from doing the testing that we should be doing. And it's a group exercise that where we use a cardboard, and it's a really interesting and useful exercise. I've done that with one of the teams, and we could see their issues that were impacting the team as a whole. That were not just impacting the tester or the developer; they were impacting both of them. Because, for example, having a good test environment, if you need test environments, if you having a good test environment on the go is something that is crucial for developers and testers.
Mm-hmm.
The developer needs to test things right away in a clean environment, and the tester wants also a clean environment right away. If you have to open a ticket or ask someone to create an environment, well, that will be adding a burden on top of your process.
And on those
So
with the environments, like I have had so many situations, it doesn't match production, it runs on my
oh,
machine, this is the performance wise, the database is empty, so the performance is flawless. Well, then your performance tests in pre-prod are not so awesome. Or I don't know how much you have faced on the switching, shifting right, like testing in production, checking what do we have there, or letting the users like those different perspectives um, into how to approach quality. And some got so straightforward into their thought process that no, you're doing it backwards. Yeah, but backwards works, and it's easier at times, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. I have this idea of testing as a something. I call it omni testing.
Cool.
Uh,
Omni testing. I love the term.
omni testing is as a term that presents testing in something that is always present that we need to tackle from different perspectives, because also testing looks at value from these different perspectives, that we need not just do from use one specific test type at a given moment. We need to always adopt testing. It needs to be like an ongoing concern,
Mm-hmm.
because value is something that we need to care continuously. It's not something like making a meal and in the hand you have value there. We need to take care of value from the start, or else it will be greatly impacted at the end. So omni testing as a way to figure out that we need to think always about testing, having this testing mindset. Everyone in the team needs always to test their own ideas, needs to improve the small things, the small automation scripts, no matter if we are talking about test automation scripts or infrastructure scripts. They can also be eventually improved, thinking that everything that we can do can always be improved. And we need to always to tackle this as a team. So
It's important as well that everything also integrates, interconnects, that we can leverage from different places, tools, types of people,
yeah,
knowledge, experiences, everything. It's a huge like
I see tools as a way for augmenting the capabilities of testers, not for replacing them.
yeah.
So it's a way for me to augment my capabilities. I need to have my creative and my critical mindset on the system that I'm looking at. And for some things, I can use tool A, tool B to do some load testing, to do some security testings, to do whatever. But in the end, I need to have this human perspective over the things, because our systems will be used by humans.
It's and when
And I like to
yeah, go on, go on, go
yeah,
on.
yeah. So I like to connect all the different points in terms of value, not just as the developer that is doing the coding, the functions and methods there, but I also look at it at the other point in the life cycle.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we have production, and then we have tickets as a result of. We need to look at production, and there could be also things that come from, for example, the support. So we need to be able to measure this in a fully integrated way,
Mm-hmm.
because our vision of the value that is being served to customers has all these different views, as the view of the developer, the tester, the marketing team, the user itself, the things that we measure, but don't forget the things that we don't measure,
Mm-hmm.
because people will complain not on the system, but they will probably complain on the forums or on the
No,
support.
and in ways that you won't even notice, like
Yeah.
dropped users that won't ever come back, won't
Yeah.
ever touch.
I remember discussing with one boss that I had. Well, support is great. Well, Support can be great, but and what about the people that won't complain on the support because they
You don't know it.
you
You
don't.
don't get a
So
complaint.
we need to figure out ways of measuring value in these whole perspectives and combining it. Sorry for distracting
Yeah,
your
no
mic.
worries. If it's a little bit on your way, you can push it back, push it forward, and um,
And measuring the SLOs and all those things together, also combined with that the support feedback, having ways of the feedback, the support also feeding, uh, providing feedback directly to the development team.
because paying attention to that feedback is something that
I see many.
yeah, something explored in production. I have the report, and
Yeah,
cool, that's the only thing that I do.
yeah, we'll see what is happening, but we need to figure out. So even tools can help us on that, and I think they can much more improve towards that goal. Because if you can provide, let's say, uh, information about the impacts that are reported by users, how they how they connect with the code that we are doing, the coder, the developer, or the development team as a whole can see, okay, let's say this report area is having issues. Is having issues because not just we as we are reporting issues ourselves, we also see issues in production, but we also see issues coming from the support related to this. So we need to be able to have this full traceability around the whole development life cycle that I think that many teams still miss. Sometimes people just focus on the development, shipping code. Some teams are already measuring things on production. I see still some gaps on connecting the dots to the support and then to the development teams.
It's and it's a connection in between people using tools. I love the part that you said a moment ago that tools do not replace people.
No, no.
Sadly, at times management has that idea, and the people probably being replaced are afraid of it. And we have heard this like automation will make manual testers disappear forever. And no, it's
No.
always going to be needed. It's always going to be a thing. Probably the needs will evolve. We have here some presentations around AI, around being used. I'm going to be talking a little bit about AI in one of the talks, where it's it's not that this tool will replace me, but I will have a new tool that will make hopefully my job easier, faster, more efficient. That not that I will go obsolete, but I will go earlier to home to my family and to have a life, not
Yeah,
just to be trained, right?
we want. I remember the discussion around exploratory testing versus um, manual testing, manual scripted test cases, for example. So we want to be able to adopt more test automation, use skilled testers, skilled developers to write test automation scripts. Because in the end, we want to have more free time to do more exploratory testing that needs humans.
Hmm.
As currently, it still needs humans to be able to explore these unknowns that we don't see otherwise. I at least. Sorry, this is life.
Yeah, but she already said that would be sharing some knowledge. You're on camera, yeah. Soon,
Coming.
yeah. It's live and streamed. Yeah, we will be having so many friends, so many inputs and points of view and perspectives. But it's funny because you bring so many new elements to the talk, to everything. I mean, interviewing so many people so far, I get new insights. But there are some other elements where it's a common thread that yeah,
Across.
testing has this problem, testing has this, testing has that. And I mean that's a part of the cool part in this conference, that we come to share ideas, we come to present ours, see where things match, and probably we were not aware, like, oh, you have that problem too, oh, you too, and everyone, we should do something about it, or someone else is already doing something about it and we can get improvement. I don't know. It's
So sometimes we forget one aspect that I think it's important, because we are more or less social. You are a lot of not social.
we're
Uh,
trying to get back into it after all the what happened.
but there are people that are not so social, because it's okay,
Hmm.
but they are not like on social media, and they do sometimes amazing stuff. They are probably solving problems that need to be solved elsewhere. So we still need to be able to reach out to those users out there and try to see how we can learn from one another. I always remember that sometimes there is like hidden talent that doesn't like the, let's say, the spotlight, and we need to learn with the people on the spotlight, but also with the people that are not on the spotlight.
It's something that I, now that I'm starting to use GitHub a little bit more, and these platforms where you don't need to be precisely outspoken
Yeah,
or in
yeah,
camera or here making the ridicule in front of everyone. You can, and there's so many people that uh, basement developers that I like to be locked up. I don't want to talk to anyone, and
yeah,
they are the best testers, automators, people in tech, but that knowledge doesn't is not shared with the world.
yeah.
And
I remember, like, say, this project lead of one open source project that many people may be using, uh, and I reached out to that person to get some feedback, some ideas. I needed his support on that, and it was actually quite open. I could get a conversation with him, and I told him, well, if you want, we can try to even to have like a webinar or something like that. Or, oh, I'm not.
no, no, no,
No,
please, no,
no,
no, no,
no, no,
no, no.
no.
I don't want to be in
I can
front.
try to help you out if you need by GitHub or so or
And
to
that's
and
something that
Twitter, and that's fine. We can be there on the conversation there, but even I even suspect that even the call that I had with him was probably not something that he would normally do,
Mhm.
but he still nevertheless was able to have that
Yeah,
call with me.
it's contribution in one way or another,
Yeah,
and it's something that
we have to
I've
be respectful of each
yeah,
one's
because
space.
even right now at K6, there are developers, there are team members that they are like, no, I come here to code. I don't want to deal with your DevRel thing. And sorry, sure, I totally respect it, but you have knowledge that let's figure out a way in how you
Of
can
unleashing that
you
knowledge.
can release it into the world. And some of them are even awesome at responding in forums, writing posts in GitHub, as you say, or other channels. And it's very, very important that we keep that flowing and identify the people. That's also very difficult because usually those are kind of hidden or are like just waiting for a medium for them to be able to express. And we need to can derive into a inclusion conversation as
Yeah,
well
yeah.
because we have, but to not to exceed and to go super long. And I also know that I stole you like, hey, come on, talk to me and let's have some fun.
Let me just say one thing, because for example, for people that want to learn from with well-known companies facing, let's say, tough challenge on testing, for example, I found there's on the GitHub a community, just a discussion group with people from all sorts of companies, like Google, Uber, Microsoft, and things like that, doing the sharing their own experience and how they tackle the problems, and it's on a GitHub discussion group.
Mhm.
So sometimes it's trying to make that more visible, and we should all try to make that visible in our we that can
In our
be
ways
in
and
our
help it.
ways.
Yeah, because you can just pick it up, make it a video, or
Yeah,
vice versa, and write a blog, write a book, and maybe even making a workshop. So there are so many things and ways that we should be sharing, not only QA knowledge, but knowledge in general. And to start ramping down, pun intended, um, I want to let people know. I mean, you are an X-ray star here, an advocate, a representative. where can people find you? Where can they give you more questions, requests for this knowledge, or know about what you create?
So here I'm there on the booth. If you're
Oh,
on
there's gonna
study,
be a booth. Yeah, if you're
yeah,
here at StarEast,
I'll be
go
there on
walk
the
around.
booth. I have my Twitter handle, which is something like Dark Telecom. It's nothing related to my name.
Okay,
And I have my website, sergiofreire.com, sergiofreire.com. I seem like a robot.
let me see if I can write it out.
And where I once in a while write blog posts, and I on Slack I'm usually also on the Ministry of Testing
Oh,
community.
great community.
So
Also,
I'm
should
usually around there or on Twitter. And well, other than that, I'm working.
we're
It's
all
all part
busy.
of my work. So um,
And last words. What would you say to the audience, or recommendations? Say, eat fruits and veggies, or what would you give to the audience?
don't be shy. If you don't know something, ask for help. There will be many people in the community that can help you for sure. I've also learned with others. Neither of no one is like perfect.
Born
Perfect.
perfect. Mm.
Yeah, so we can always learn with one another. So take take your moment, then give a step ahead and learn. And that's the main thing. Keep learning and then never stop learning, because learning and the skills that you gain, they will be part of you. And well, other things, they are more
Secondary.
secondary, and they can go away. So and the skills, the things that you learn, they make you more precious,
Hmm.
and it's good for you, and as your career, and also for your own professional, let's say, well-being.
Yeah, yeah, I love it. Keep learning, keep improving, keep growing,
Continuous learning.
continuous learning. Cool. And okay, amigo Sergio,
Thank
it
you.
has been a pleasure to have you here. Hopefully, we will walk into. I will try to visit. I will be streaming tomorrow. I'll try to visit at your stand and share a few words. And thank you again for sharing your knowledge, the patience, all these examples that you gave. You're very rich in analogies as well. I love that.
Thank you, Leandro. It was really a pleasure, and thank you for having me here.
Awesome. Okay, everybody, as usual, I will try to end the stream. If